Hi there, my name is Arash and I'm here today with my friend Parin, and we want to do the Calgary, I actually want to do the Calgary Family Assessment Model on her. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. So we're gonna start with the structural part of the assessment. So first of all, tell me about your family composition. Like, how is your family made? Like, who's in your family?
So I have my parents and two siblings, a brother and a sister. But my parents and my sister live back home in Iran, and my brother lives in Toronto, Canada.
Mhm. So moving out from your country, do you still like feel that you belong to a family of five, or you like for you family doesn't mean being like single and alone in this country, or do you still feel
No.
bonding with your
Yeah.
family?
True. Although I live alone here, but still I define my family as five people.
Okay.
Me, my parents, and my two siblings. Although we're not living under the same roof, but
I understand. So, do your parents believe like in masculinity and femininity ideas? Like this, this is like something that men do. This is another thing that women do. Do they have
No,
this
honestly,
type of ideas?
no, honestly, they don't. My parents, their idea is that the one who's capable of doing that very exact thing should do it. For example, my mom has better management skills comparing to my dad, so she does that. I mean, she's normally the final decision maker because of her abilities. She's a better manager. So no, they don't think that this is a masculine role, this is a feminine role. Or I can remember as a child, when I was a kid, I used to play football with boys, and my parents never told me that this is something boys do, and you're a girl, you should play with your dolls or with other girls.
That was an interesting point. Okay, and in the rank orders, like, is there anyone in your family who's like the main decision maker based on their role in the family, and then like it goes down as you are you the oldest child?
I'm the first child. I'm the
Okay,
oldest.
so is there any rank like?
Well, oh, you're asking if my parents came first when it,
Like how
made
is
the-
this made, like if in terms of like making decisions or?
So like I said, normally my mom makes the decisions. Number one, because she cares more and she comes up with new ideas about the family and stuff. And also because of her, like I said, management skills. So me, my siblings, and my father were not that much interested in, those making some changes or, things that requires decision. So apparently my mom, yes, was more involved in making those changes and making decisions.
Okay, and you being the eldest child in your family, like, have you ever been like forced to do things in order to be a role model for the younger ones? Like, for example, I know some ask the eldest child to get married, so then the youngers will do the same.
No, never, not forced. Never forced, but I was kind of pushed to be a role model in terms of education, and which I was not successful at all. But yes, they wanted me to be a good role model for my siblings in terms of education and being successful in my education.
Okay, so many families, they're made of subsystems, like means you have like there's a relationship with you and your father, and it's different than your relationship with your siblings. Like, are there subsystems within your family?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
And
the way I communicate and have conversation with my parents is absolutely different with my siblings.
so there are distinct subsystems within your family, right?
Yes, true.
Okay. Are there like boundaries in your family?
By boundaries, I think you mean the example I remember in the Potter and Perry textbook was regarding making decisions, right? So if my parents, for example, make the main decisions and do not involve me, for example, at all, me and my siblings at all in making those decisions. So that means there is a very strong boundary between us. So, so regarding that, I can say there's a flexible boundary within our family. It's kind of flexible.
So far I know that you have a like good relationship with your family members, with your immediate family. So what about your extended family?
I also have a good relationship with my extended family members, especially my maternal family members.
Okay, like if there is like any trouble or something, or like you need help, do you ask them?
Yes, yeah. There's been situations that I got help, like emotional support from my aunt, my mom's sister, and I have a very close bond with her.
Are there like larger systems in your family that you belong to, like religious groups or cultural groups or any community?
In my family?
Yes, or that you attend to, like for example, you're from Iran. Do you like attend to like Iranian communities in Toronto?
I have. So far, I mean, since I came to Canada, I've attended a few events, Persian events here in Toronto. But it's not that it's not regular, and it's not that I'm.
You don't consider yourself like as a member of those communities yet?
Of course I do. I am a member of that community, but as the time goes by, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know why, but maybe it's because I'm blending and merging with,
with the mainstream.
Exactly, with the mainstream. So I'm attending less, and it's not that because I don't feel belong to that, to the Persian community, but or maybe it's because I've experienced those events.
Yeah,
I've been to a few of them before. So,
in terms of ethnicity, like, do you believe in something that which is specific to that ethnicity? So you said you're from Iran, you're Middle Eastern. So are there like anything that you value because of your specific ethnicity, like geographical, cultural, linguistic?
So first of all, I'm a globalist. Globalist, meaning that I feel that I am a member of, the international,
the universe,
like international community, if you can say. So, but yeah, for sure, the countries in the Middle East, especially Iran, has a long history for like 5,000 years. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it is interesting, and I am proud of that.
So that means for you don't care about like the race, like you don't define yourself as a specific race. And is there any preference when you're like dealing with the healthcare providers? Like, do you care if the person has the same race as you are?
Oh, no, not at all. As long as that the healthcare provider is caring and knowledgeable, I don't care what the race of the person is. No.
Okay. In terms of social class, like your education or your like parents' education or their profession, is it like you mostly communicate with the same social class within your like where they live, or like who they communicate to?
Well,
So let me ask you, like, what's your latest education level?
I have master's degree in environmental science, environmental engineering from
Do you
back home.
work at currently?
No,
No.
I don't
So
work.
is it like you try to communicate with those who have that level of education, or you don't care about that?
No, I think no, I
Okay.
don't. No, not at all.
Okay. So let's move to religion and spirituality. Is there any like religion that you practice, or any religious belief that you have, or in your family?
I personally, me and my siblings and my father, we do not subscribe under any religion. But my mom has kind of some mild religious beliefs. Yes, she's a little bit traditional comparing to us, but
Okay. And in terms of environment, like I don't want to ask you like where exactly you live, but the neighborhood that you live, can you give me like some of the cons and pros of that area that you live in?
so one of the advantages of the area, so I live in on Willowdale Avenue. It's a quiet area. It's a very beautiful avenue. I mean, the nature there is so beautiful. The trees on the street, and you have very good access to the woods and to the trails, which I love so much. And maybe one of the disadvantages of that is being far away from downtown and school. So I have to travel for about 1.5 hours to get to school whenever I want to go to school. So it's one of the disadvantages.
Okay. Okay, we move on to the next part, which is the developmental part in a few moments. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so let's move on to the next part, which is the developmental part of your family assessment. Has there been any like change or transition happened within your family that needed to be adjusted?
Yes, and my immigration to Canada has been a big change in my family. And so I think my parents, especially my parents, have gone through the empty nest syndrome, which is a kind of emotional crisis for parents to cope with. And it is about children leaving the family. So since me and my brother, younger brother, have left home, and they went through, some emotional challenges.
So since you mentioned that crisis within your family, so how was the emotional communication?
So by emotional communication, you mean?
Did they like express their like sadness about?
No, they try.
Did they mention you that they were sad about you leaving them?
Very few times. Like in 5 years, maybe twice.
Okay.
They try not to show anything to me, but since I know them, I know that it's been very hard for them. They haven't seen me in 5 years, so it's not something easy for them to cope with.
Understand. So how's the nonverbal communication been? Like, have you, is there any hints that you can? It mostly happens when you say you video call with your parents, for example. Like, is there anything that you might notice from, like, the way they speak or?
Tone of speaking. Sometimes maybe I see tears especially my dad's eyes. Is very emotional. Yeah, sometimes I feel his eyes get red, and I see tears sometimes, but they try their best not to show me anything. But
so in terms of problem solving, you mentioned that your mom is the one who's the final decision maker in your family. So is it the same, like how's the problem solving going on within your family?
she's a really good problem solver, and that comes from her management skills. You know, she's a manager, she's a nurse manager, she's a supervisor in a hospital, and that's a skill that she
brought it into the family.
exactly.
As well.
Yeah, she has it. Something
it's like a
in her
part of the characteristic.
Exactly. So definitely she's a main problem solver in the family.
Okay, I think we're done for the assessment. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching this video.